Stephen Wells is running for Congress. The big Republican debate between Wells, Phillips, and Tenney happens on June 28th. And Mr. Stephen Wells is online right now. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Post-debate, how do you think things went this week?
Yeah, I think they went great. We had another debate last night. I think things are going great.
Where was the debate last night? Tell me about that one.
Yeah, it was down in Binghamton.
All right. And what has anything new come out of these, or is it basically hammering home the same points?
Well, I'm not sure that it's what's new, but it's clearly an opportunity for the voters to see the distinctions as between us. Now, last night's debate, the Assemblywoman wasn't there, but I think now we've had three debates. It's clearly an opportunity for people to see the differences.
Assemblywoman Tenney was not there.
That's right. She was up in Albany, as I understand. They had
right in the middle
of
sessions.
So it was a good thing.
Yeah, and it's of course
voting.
I think they're still there going at it. Interesting. All right, so we wanted to know on the issue, and she keeps hammering you on the connection to Cuomo. And I know you keep answering by saying it's not true, that's not true. And can you give us a little, because we understand it, and I think there are, there's political rhetoric and then there are the facts. So differentiate for me, explain to me how much money was given, and why are they able to say that you're the top donor? Can you explain all of that?
I can't explain it. The amazing thing about politics is you can say whatever you want without recourse.
Yeah.
I guess it's a great thing that we have a First Amendment, but there's certainly it requires people to do exactly what you just said, which is check the facts. Look, donations are a matter of public record, and I've certainly given I don't deny making political donations, and they're a public record. And it's easy to check out on the Federal Election Commission website. You can easily see people's donations to federal candidates, but more difficult, I guess, with everything regarding New York State. It's not as transparent. Our New York State government, in so many respects, is not transparent. But I can tell you that I've never given a personal donation to the governor. I did not support the governor,
and you did donate and support Astorino when he ran against Cuomo.
Yeah, I held a fundraiser for Rob Astorino, and I have supported Rob, and I've donated through the New York State Republican Party to help Rob Astorino run for governor against Cuomo. So to personally attack me and say that's just flat out false.
And then I'd like to narrow down the millions of contracts, millions in contracts. Explain your business so we understand what that millions in contracts means.
Sure. Well, first of all, there is no millions in state contracts. We're in the food and vending business, so we provide where there's colleges, community colleges. We provide food service. So we're actually the employees who cook the food and provide the food for students. We're in corporate cafeterias. We provide the food service, and we also provide it through vending machines. With regard to any state business we have, it's pretty much limited to, I believe there's 4 state prisons where we have vending machines, and those would be open to the guards that work there and to visitors. So we pay rent to the state, or commissions to the state, based upon the sales that are made through the vending machines. So we actually pay the state back rent, and this is a common thing in our industry. So the taxpayers in New York are not out a quarter by the fact that anybody's vending machines are on state property. It's just the opposite. There's revenue that's paid back to the state. And the value of those contracts, I assure you, are not in the millions, as I mentioned, I think, on your show. For our company, they're not even 0.5% of our revenue. They're I don't want to say they're irrelevant, but they're in the big picture, they are irrelevant.
Yeah. All right, Manaski.
So I just want to go back to one thing quickly, and then I'll ask a question. I believe that you were named as a top 10 donor in a report by Syracuse.com. It wasn't something that was completely an allegation that Assemblywoman Tenney made. I believe there was a Syracuse.com article that labeled you as a top donor as well.
Let me not
go ahead.
You.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Okay, it was our company. Okay,
your company.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Corporations or companies are allowed to make political donations. There's limits on them, just as there are for individuals. Okay, so individually, I've never donated. I've never supported. The comments that I've supported the governor's budgets. It's ludicrous. Nobody can find that anywhere because they don't exist. Again, I supported Rob Astorino, and everyone around that campaign knows that. So,
I'd like to narrow this. I'd like to just cut out all the if you're in business, and I think this has got to be talked about. If you're in business, you would be doing a disservice to your employees. You would be a disservice to your any investors, or if you're a public company or corporation, to any stockholders, to any investors, if you placed yourself in a political situation where you were favoring one candidate over another. Look at the corner store that it deals in just city politics. They don't want to make this mayor mad, because if they do, they never know what could happen down the road. It's just business. You would be hurting your employees and your business if you put yourself in a position where you just where you completely became all Republican. I mean, that's not the role of your business. Personally, I assume you can do that, but for your business, talk about that a little bit. I think that's not been. I mean, business people get this, but I'm not sure everybody does.
Well, business people do get that, and I think that's exactly what Donald Trump has said. And just for the record, I think Trump, I don't know how our company could be the biggest supporter. I think Trump himself, I think, gave $84,000 to Governor Cuomo. But look, regardless of what you said, which is generally speaking true in business, with respect to this particular situation, look, with a company of over 1,500 employees, it's not like I make every decision. As I told you on our very first phone interview, I believe, this particular donation that the company made was made by my brother. And as I said, I have to trust that my brother had good judgment, and there was a reason that he saw fit to do that. And it's just one of many donations that we make, most of which are philanthropic. Our company gets hit up every single day for donations by countless charities, so many of which we support. And I got to tell you, the political donations that we make are just a small fraction of what we give.
All right, now I want to ask you, you say that your brother made this donation. Is there any way that could be proven? Is there a check? Is there a check that your brother's signature is on the check? Is there a way that could be presented by your campaign, by you, so that everyone can look at it and say, yeah, you were telling the truth when you said that?
I have no idea. You're not going to find my signature on a check or any authorization for the check. I could go back and ask. If it mattered to you, I'd be happy to go back and ask if I could dig that out.
To me, it does, yeah. Go ahead. It does matter to me. I would love to see a copy of the check, and obviously black out anything that needs to be blacked out, but I'd love to see a copy of that check, and we post that and see that that's exactly what happened. I think that's, in this case, full disclosure, transparency, I think it's important.
It would quiet critics, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm delighted to go back and see if we could find the check. Happy to do it. I'm not even sure when it was made, quite honestly.
Right. And keeping in mind, it might not be something that is available. I understand that, but it's an opportunity to put this conversation, at least for people who are saying, I don't really believe, maybe he was involved, he signed it, and I'd like to see who signed the check. I guess that's it.
Absolutely. That I'm quite sure we could probably hunt down.
Right. I want to ask you about the debate on Monday night, which was at MVCC. There were people there, and this part you really couldn't see on TV, but if you were watching, the moderator was very quick to tell people, please don't applaud, but it was beyond applause. Am I correct that when you were speaking, there were protesters kind of heckling and holding up signs? Is that true?
Well, I don't know what they were. They were apparently were Claudia Tenney people. I don't know. I was looking into the lights, Bill. To be candid with you, I really didn't.
You didn't see that? Okay.
Well, there were a bunch of people there holding up signs. I really couldn't read the signs.
Okay.
When you're on the stage, you're looking. The lights are so bright in your eyes, you really can't see the audience very well, and so I was paying zero attention to them.
Well, I believe that it was they were supporters of Assemblywoman Tenney, and they were holding up signs. Speaking of the Assemblywoman, I'd like to ask you. You brought up, and this was a key part for us in the debate. You brought up that June 18th, and said to the Assemblywoman that she was campaigning, and not with her mother. She was campaigning not in Albany. She really laid into you pretty hard. What kind of man would question a daughter's dedication to her dying mother? We did some fact-checking on that and found that, indeed, she was at a rally on June 28th in Binghamton and did a radio show at 10 a.m. in studio in Binghamton. You want to comment on that and the charge that she really kind of placed you in a position of as being a bit of a bully?
Yeah, well, look, the facts are the facts. Anybody can say what they want, but the facts are exactly what you just said. And the truth is, it wasn't just June 18th. She was out campaigning. As I mentioned, she missed votes in March of that year. She missed votes on June 2nd. She missed votes on June 10th. She missed votes on the 11th, the 12th, the 16th, the 17th, the 19th, the 20th. She missed votes repeatedly, and we've got facts to show where she was out campaigning. So it wasn't only on the 18th. What it really comes down to is an issue of credibility, believability, and that's really the issue. As I mentioned on the show, my mom's sick. I think anybody can understand someone who's going to take care of their mom, but she was a paid member of the assembly. You can't have it all which way. Either you're in Albany taking care of business, or you're home, or you're out campaigning. And it seems quite clear that she was neither in Albany or apparently at home, at least on these dates. She was out campaigning.
Are you? I'll leave you with this. Are you glad you got into this? I mean, you're in the heat, the middle of the heat. There's got to be at some point before you put your head on the pillow at night, you're like, man, I had a business. Things were going well. What was I thinking getting involved?
No, look, the reason that I did this, as I mentioned before, is because of my such a deep concern about particularly our national security. And so, look, I have zero experience with this politics. This kind of back and forth nonsense it's somewhat ludicrous. I find it unreal. As I said, people can say anything they want in politics, on the radio, on TV, make allegations that are unfounded. But look, I got to keep my eye focused on the reason why I'm doing this, which is because there's just no question that our economy and our national security is going the wrong way, Bill. And if somebody doesn't stand up and do something about it, then who do we have to blame? It's democracy. We've got to stand up and do something about it.
All right, Stephen Wells, just days away from the primary. Thanks for taking the time. We'll talk to you guys again next week.
Pleasure. Thanks, Bill.
Stephen Wells, the Republican, one of three, running in that primary with Claudia Tenney and George Phillips on June 28th. All right.